Another week and another loss for the Texas football team. The Royals continue their October run, and David Ash taking his skills to the diamond. All this and more coming up on College Crossfire.
The hell's the rest of it? Taylor's not even here to defend himself. I'm so excited.
Good evening and welcome into this week's episode of College Crossfire. I'm your host, Jeff Barker. Joining me tonight on the panel, we have reigning champ from last week, Thomas Bingham. Bingham's back. What's going on?
I am back, y'all.
Ready to go for two straight?
Yeah, I am.
Alrighty, and in the middle we have not a newcomer. I believe it's your second or third time on Crossfire, Jake Lapin. Right. Jake, what's up?
Good to be back.
Hey, good choice on the shirt, man. We're almost matching.
Thank you.
And making his College Crossfire debut at the end there, Diego Contreras. Diego,
it's great to be a noob. Let's do it.
Alrighty, let's get right into it then, guys. Another tough loss for the Texas football team this past weekend in the Red River Showdown. It was turnovers and missed opportunities that killed the Longhorns once again. This week a pick six, kickoff return for a touchdown, botched goal line snap once again. Horns were down 31-3 early in the fourth quarter, but they did manage a comeback, showing some fight, scoring 2 late touchdowns to make things interesting. Ultimately, though, wasn't enough. Lost by a final score of 31-26. Guys, what was the biggest thing you learned from this Texas team after watching this game? Thomas?
Well, this team is definitely not as bad as we think it is. There's definitely some room for improvement, but it's not. They're not horrible. Our defense is great, and those last 2 scoring drives that we had in the fourth quarter really were the most fluid since North Texas. So I would definitely say that we're back on the right track. But yeah, those missed opportunities, I mean, that gave away 14 points in the first half right there. I mean, the Oklahoma offense only had 3 points in the first half. So it was defense continues to be really good, but it's continues to struggle.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing again here is you can't score for the other team if you're Texas. You already have a hard enough time scoring for yourself.
Yeah, you don't want to backfire. Yeah. I mean, you can't do something that's you can't make up. So.
Yeah, special team struggling again, and then the pick six, you can't do that. 14 points for the other team.
Put the T back in Texas.
Jake?
So I've got a positive takeaway and a negative takeaway. And the positive thing here is that they have the talent. I mean, they outplayed Oklahoma on both sides of the ball. They outgained them by over 200 yards. They also shut them down defensively, especially in the first half. The negative takeaway here is that they're just not very disciplined. They give up a kick return touchdown and a pick six. It's 14 points for the other team without your defense even messing up. And then you have 11 penalties for 85 yards, numerous false starts, fumbled snaps. So many things went wrong that they just couldn't win the game. So that's why, unfortunately, you'd think under Charlie Strong with all those rules that they'd be more disciplined, but they're not, and they can't compete with the top teams in the nation until they get more disciplined.
Yeah, it seems like, again, they're just so close to putting it all together. And this time 5 points, last week 21 points to Baylor, but I think they're getting there. Maybe we'll see a resurgence from them, kind of like we did last year, but maybe we'll see. Diego?
I think the main thing we really learned is that the same storyline is going to play out throughout the whole season. The defense is going to play incredible. They're strong with Coach Strong. The offense isn't going to do anything. And then by the end of the game, Oklahoma was a little bit tired, so we made a nice run that gave us a glimpse of hope. But if you were actually watching that game, you could realize that a lot of these Oklahoma guys, their hands were on their knees, they were on weary legs. And I just think the main thing we've learned is that this scenario is going to keep playing itself out. And against some of these better Big 12 teams, once they get a good rhythm at the end of the season, there's not much we're going to be able to do.
Oh, and also, our worst quarter was the third quarter tonight, or not tonight, on Saturday, excuse me, and their worst half, so our worst quarter was better than our, okay, I can't talk tonight. Basically, Texas had 42 yards in the third quarter, which was the worst, and Oklahoma only had 29 in the first half. So, just that stat alone shows
outgained and outpossessed Oklahoma, but are we about to see them turn things around and maybe, make a little, not really a run. They already have a couple conference losses, but really turn things around and get people excited for 2015. Are we going to see that?
I think there will be a signature win by the end of the season that we'll be pointing to next year.
It seems like they lost all their chances for that signature win, though. You had it with Baylor and then you had it with Oklahoma.
I think TCU is still an
I mean,
opportunity.
the only chance that they ever get into a bowl game is if they can upset someone. So that's the only, I guess that would be a signature win.
All right, guys, well, let's take a look specifically at the quarterback position for Texas now. It's been the team's most inconsistent position on the roster in recent memory. After David Ash announced his retirement a few weeks ago, Tyrone Swoops was thrown into the spotlight as the new starter. We've seen Swoops develop in front of our eyes the last 5 games, and his coaches and teammates say that they remain confident that he is the guy at quarterback for the Longhorns moving forward. Are you guys on board, too? You guys sold on Swoops as the QB of the future for Texas? Jake?
I'll say for now, yes. He definitely has the job locked up until the end of the season. He's shown enough that he can stand in there against Big 12 defenses and make big passes when he needs to. Look, he makes a lot of mistakes, a lot of errant throws. Receivers have to leave their routes and fall down a lot of yards after catch. And also, his clock management has been poor, too. A lot of forced timeouts on ordinary plays. But he's strung together a couple of good drives in the last few games. He's made some big throws, and he's not super quick, but he's got enough speed to be a running threat, extend plays. So I think in the spring there'll be a QB competition with Gerard Hurd, but I'd say for now he's the favorite.
Yeah, and I think when you look at Swoops, I mean, all the things, he's got a lot of things going for him, and all the things that he's messing up on right now, it's not really, things that he can't go back and fix in practice, like, errant throws and maybe making a poor read. Those are all things that can be fixed.
He's still young.
Diego, what do you think?
I honestly think that on this roster, he's definitely the guy. But going forward, if Texas is expecting to make anything big happen in the next few seasons, I don't think he's that guy. I honestly don't think he's really done anything on the field to show that he's that guy. These are talented kids. Any athlete can make some plays, can have some good drives on any given Saturday. But I think in all reality, you see Swoops, he's not really that confident. He doesn't react to the game that's happening on the field. He seems like he's too systematic and he's too stuck within his own head. And he can't throw the deep ball. I'm not a believer yet. Like the kid, but I don't think he's going to take Texas to the promised land.
So you think no chance he's taking him to the promised land, or you just haven't seen enough yet?
I don't think he will.
Okay. Thomas?
I definitely haven't seen enough from him at all. I keep giving him opportunities to prove me wrong. I thought that UCLA game was a place where he could just, leap forward into his career, and he just didn't pan out that way. Kansas only scoring 23 against Kansas. You should be scoring like 6 to 8 touchdowns against Kansas, even when Texas is bad. And so, just that, and then barely being able to extend drives against Baylor. You couldn't lead him down the field. It was so bad. And so, yeah, he played a little better against Oklahoma. 2 of those losses this season have come by a combined 8 points. So that's something. UCLA, Oklahoma are solid performances he had, but I'm not satisfied.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I'm sold exactly yet, but I think I'm going to give Jake the point on this one. He's kind of a little bit in between you guys. I think we've seen, not necessarily enough, but we've seen a pretty good amount to say that, these are things that he's messing up on in games that he can definitely, I think, fix in practice. And I think he's got all the ability to maybe not take Texas to a championship, but, elevate the program and, bring them back to national prominence. But, guys, moving from the current Texas quarterback to its former quarterback, David Ash made headlines yesterday when he announced he's interested in pitching for the Texas baseball team this season. Ash lettered in football, basketball, and track in high school, so he has no serious experience on the mound, but reports say he has already thrown with pitching coach Skip Johnson a few times already. But guys, is Ash making the team a legitimate possibility? And, if so, where do you see him potentially fitting in the rotation? Diego?
I think since his name is David Ash alone, he has a pretty good shot. I know the University of Texas family, we really take care of our own. And this guy, he put his heart and his soul out there on the football field. He did all that he could possibly do for this program. And I think at the least that's going to give him a great shot. For his sake, I hope it works out. I kind of want him to play like a relief spot just so I can be relieved to not see him get injured on the field. But even with balls flying in the air, I kind of worry for the kid. But
yeah.
I don't, not really. I don't see him having an opportunity to play for Texas baseball. We were a win away from playing for the national championship last year. We got a solid roster. I just don't see us being able to, pick up another one or pick up David Ash for a significant role. Maybe as like a, bullpen leader or something, but full time, I really don't see him play much of a role. Plus, there is the injury issue. the likelihood that you would have a concussion in baseball is not high, but sometimes those weird injuries are the ones that are the most severe, so I really don't see him having an opportunity.
What about maybe if he doesn't make the team as a starter in the bullpen, honorary seed eater from the bullpen maybe? What? Sunflower seed eater?
Maybe.
Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I like what Diego said.
Buying this or no?
I'm not. I like what Diego said, that we take care of our own. I mean, look at Vince Young right now. But that's probably why I got the bullpen session, but I don't see it escalating to anything more than that. This team was, like Thomas said, 1 win away from the College World Series championship. They were led by their pitching staff, too. They have some great arms there, some young guys, too, like Travis Duke and Morgan Cooper in the bullpen. Parker French is coming back. And they did lose a few good arms, Dylan Peters, John Curtis, but I don't think there's room for him on this team. I don't think Garrido will buy into it.
All right, I think I'm going to give Jake and Thomas the point on this one. Sorry, Diego. Just not sure I'm buying Ash, just picking up the baseball, 4 months of practice, and then all of a sudden making, a College World
I mean,
Series.
he didn't even play high
roster.
school ball. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
He's not, like, if he played in high school, it'd be a different story.
I
maybe.
believe, David
Hey,
Ash.
like that you
He's
believe
out
it, guys.
here.
Time for our first break of the night. Coming up next, we'll talk Big 12 football, college football playoff favorites, and playoff baseball. We'll be right back here on College Crossfire. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Thomas, Jake, and Diego joining me tonight on the show. We got the reigning champ, Thomas. You got 2. Jake got 3, early lead, and Diego with 1. Hey, we still got 2 rounds left, man. A lot can happen. Guys, let's get right into it. Some Big 12 football talk. A highly offensive Baylor-TCU game this past Saturday in Waco. The Bears came back from a 21-point deficit in the fourth quarter and ended up beating the Horned Frogs by a final score of 61-58. Baylor is perfect halfway through the season, and at this point, a clear favorite to win the conference for the second straight season. But the Big 12 has 5 teams in the AP Top 15 this week, so won't be an easy road. But guys, will Baylor be able to take that next step in their program, finish the season undefeated? If not, who's knocking them off? Thomas, let's start with you. I know you picked Baylor last week when we did our Big 12 favorites. You still got them?
I still do. I mean, they keep winning, they keep impressing all of us. They lead the nation in points, 51.2 per game. They're 6th in passing offense, 16th in rushing. I just think their offense is so explosive. I don't think that they're going to win the national championship, but I do think that they're going to win the Big 12. Oklahoma is probably their biggest hurdle at this point.
And
they have not impressed me at all. They lost to TCU, and we basically gave them that win last week. So I don't see anyone coming between now and the playoff.
Okay, Jake?
Yeah, they're definitely the favorites. It's theirs to lose. Down 21, and they came back to win. These guys expect to win every single football game every time they're out on the field. They do have to go to Norman. That's going to be their toughest challenge, and they still have Kansas State, Oklahoma State left. So a couple of opportunities to slip up. I think they could lose one and still win the Big 12 championship and snag a final spot in the college playoff.
So you think even if they lose one without a Big 12 championship game, to prove themselves even more, you think they still get in at 11-1?
I think every other team's going to beat up on each other in the SEC, and they're going to snag that last playoff spot.
Okay. Diego?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with both of these guys. I like the Baylor Bears. They've been looking great. They showed a lot of resiliency, and they really battled adversity really well against TCU. I was honestly really surprised watching that game because there was a couple moments there I thought that game was over, and there was no way Baylor's going to be able to come back. But like we covered as well, they got to go up to Norman. They got to beat the Sooners on the road, and that's really their biggest challenge. I don't see them slipping in any of these other games. And they might be a good Big 12 representative.
So you're saying they're going undefeated?
Yes, Baylor Bears.
Alrighty, I'm buying. Jake, you said Baylor might slip up. You still think they're getting in the college football playoff though if they only lose one? So.
I think there's a chance they lose one to Oklahoma and they still get in.
All right, well, I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm still going to make it a sweep, give everyone a point. I think I'm taking the Baylor Bears. I see them probably going undefeated. I think they can beat up on that OU team, and then, when you look at Oklahoma State, Kansas State, I think those are probably their 2 toughest games after that. Definitely winnable games for them. So, I see Baylor taking that next step, too. We're going to make it a sweep. Everyone gets a point. Guys, another wild weekend, and not only the Big 12, but all of college football. Biggest story was Mississippi State jumping Florida State, moving up to #1 in the AP poll after beating Auburn on Saturday. We're about halfway through the season, as we said. So let's take a step back, make some predictions again here. What are your 4 favorites? Excuse me, who are your 4 favorites to make the college football playoff at the end of the year? At this point in the season, from what you've seen.
Yeah, so I'm not completely sold on Mississippi State just yet. They do still have to go into Alabama, and then they have Ole Miss to end the year. I think Ole Miss is going to beat them and jump them and snag a playoff spot ahead of them. Like I said, I think Baylor will get a spot, and then
So you got Ole Miss in the playoff?
yes,
Okay, Ole Miss, Baylor.
and then depending on this whole Jameis Winston deal, if he doesn't play against Notre Dame, I think they will run the table. I think they get in, and then everyone's already counted them off, and especially with Gurley now. It's, gone, but Georgia has a pretty easy schedule in the SEC.
Georgia's slipping in.
I think they could sneak in there. I really do.
Oh, wait, who's your last team, though? That's only 3. Oh, you said Florida State?
Yeah,
Okay.
or depending on Jameis Winston, if Florida State, if Jameis does play against Notre Dame, if not, I think Notre Dame will run the table.
Wow. Big predictions right there,
Bold,
for Jake.
bold.
Diego.
Yeah, the 4 teams, in no particular order. First off, I'm going to go with Mississippi State, Florida State. I think the Baylor Bears represent the Big 12. And then, I don't know, I kind of like Alabama. I think they'll string some wins together. I think they'll make their way in there. But my favorite is still, honestly, Florida State. I'm a big fan of big-time gamers, and that's what Jameis Winston is. So barring him being ineligible, the kid's a baller, the kid can play. And if you put him in a playoff situation, I think that's whenever the stars shine, and that kid's going to ball out.
Okay, so it's Florida State, Bama, Mississippi State.
The Baylor Bears.
Oh, and the Baylor Bears.
The
Okay.
Baylor Bears.
Okay. Thomas.
Well, sorry, I already gave y'all Baylor. So they were one of mine for sure, just with what I already explained. I also got Ole Miss. I also am not a believer in Mississippi State. I believe the winner of the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving is going to be the representative out of the SEC. I really believe that. Also, Oregon. I know that they've already lost one, but they have a really easy schedule from here on out. I mean, Stanford and Utah are the only ranked opponents on their schedule, and they're both in the 20s. So those 3. And then I also got Florida State. They got the easiest schedule in the nation. You have to put them in there. I mean, even if Jameis Winston somehow is ineligible, they will get in.
So no one has Michigan State in there? Nobody? Even if they went out, if the one loss was to Oregon at the beginning of the season, no one with Michigan State.
If I'm on the committee, I'm not putting a Big Ten team in the college football playoff. They're too weak.
So what if Michigan had gone undefeated? I mean, would they? Or Michigan State had gone undefeated. Would they get in there still?
Undefeated team in
Okay.
a Big 5 conference gets in, but I mean, the Big Ten is just too weak this year for me to be really convinced that they belong.
All right. I'm going to give Diego the point on this one. Kind of similar here. Thomas, you had Oregon. I like that. I don't know if they get through Pac-12 play, but Diego, you had Bama. I think, never count them out.
Nick
Proven
Saban,
champions.
let's
Guys, before we go to break, we're going to talk some playoff baseball. The Royals' Cinderella story continued this afternoon when they completed a 4-game sweep of the Baltimore Orioles to advance to the World Series. The win today made it 8 straight playoff victories for a team that until this season hadn't made the postseason since 1985. Game 4 of the NLCS between the Giants and Cardinals currently in progress right now as we speak. From what you guys have seen of the Royals so far, are they now World Series favorites? Thomas, I know you were on the show last week, and everyone picked them to beat the Orioles in the ALCS, but then nobody had them actually as World Series favorites. So, Diego, we'll start with you, though.
Start with me. Curveball there. Not the baseball guy, honestly. This is, to me, the most exciting thing that's happened the whole baseball season, and I like it, honestly. In sports in general, if you're a hot team and you catch your stride at the right time, at the right point in the season, you're going to win. That's how sports work in general, and I think they're getting hot at the right time. World Series champion, Kansas City Royals.
So you're taking momentum over, regardless of who wins between the Giants and the Cardinals, we're getting a team that's, a proven champion the last 5 years. A team that's, I think they've each had, the last 4 years actually, it's been Giants, Cardinals, Giants, Cardinals.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So you're taking momentum over
taking
experience?
Momentum. I've seen some weird things happen in sports with teams just getting hot at the right time. And
Yeah.
I like momentum.
All right, you taking momentum too?
I'm the same way. I mean, baseball is so focused on momentum when it comes to the playoffs. I don't think that there's any other playoffs that's that focused on it, that's that important to a team's success in the playoffs. I mean, the team I compare the Royals to this year are the 2001 Lakers, actually, when they went 15-1. And so I got to go with the Royals. I mean, they're 8-0 so far in this year's playoffs. I got to go with them. I got to stick with them.
All right, are you sticking with them too?
Everyone's jumping on the Royals bandwagon. What they've done so far is historical, very impressive, and momentum does play a big part, especially in the MLB playoffs. It has, especially for the Cardinals and Giants the last few years. But like I said, the Cardinals and Giants, those teams are still there. They have the experience. They have the pitching. The Royals has been a great story, but I like the Giants. It's an even year. I think the Giants are going to beat them in the World Series.
Okay, so you're taking the even year and the experience factors there. I think I'm going to give Thomas and Diego the point for the momentum here. I mean, haven't even lost a game, and it's just that city is alive, and they're so behind that team. It's fun to watch.
Nothing happens in Kansas. So
exactly. So, Thomas, Diego, getting the point going into break. That will take us to our final break of the night. Up next, it's our rapid fire round, and if it's anything like last week's, you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. It's College Crossfire. Back here on College Crossfire, let's get you one last score update before we continue. We got actually everyone tied up at 4. You guys, as we always like to say, it really doesn't matter until you get to rapid fire. Everything is worth 2. And I know at this point you guys are probably thinking, wait, really? No NFL question on the agenda for tonight's show? Not so fast. We're going to talk some Cowboys football. Beat the Seahawks on Sunday to improve to 5-1 on the year. What I want to know here, though, is whether this win says more about the boys or more about the defending champs. Anybody jump in?
the Cowboys, it's crazy. How about them Cowboys? I can't believe I'm saying it. I almost want to not have this on television to be saying this. But the Cowboys are looking incredible. I think it says a lot about the Cowboys to be able to beat the defending champions Seattle and string together the games that they're stringing together. And maybe it finally is the Cowboys here.
Well, still a lot of time to ruin it, though. But still,
I
games.
want to jinx it. I would like to jinx it.
Okay.
So.
I also got the Cowboys. I mean, so many points I brought up last week apply to last week's win. I mean, Murray went off in the second half. He was so huge for that team. I mean, he seemed to be like held in check for most of that first half. Only had about 40 yards, but came alive, kind of wore down that Seattle's defense. I got to stick with him for sure. Romo is keeping, I guess, handling the ball a little bit better than past years. And then that defense, the biggest surprise all season long has been that Cowboys defense. It is dominant.
Yeah, and that's exactly the opposite of what we expected at the beginning of the year. So that's interesting. Jake, I know you're a Houston guy. Are you hopping on the
Don't use
bandwagon?
that against me. I'm about to say something that no Cowboys fan wants to hear, but it's in the back of all their minds. And they are setting themselves up perfectly to fail.
Not to
They do it every year. They are on the perfect track for a terrible end of the season, 8-8, like they are every season. I'm still not sold on the Cowboys.
8-8.
They play so well sometimes, and sometimes they look like a completely different team. I just until they do it in December, I cannot jump on.
Well, so nobody even mentioned the defending champion Seahawks. I mean, does this say anything about them? Does it say that maybe the Legion of Boom is falling off a little bit?
I don't think the Seahawks are as dominant as we all thought they would be at the beginning of the season, but like opposite of the Cowboys, come playoff time, they'll certainly be in, and you don't want to play there. They'll be fine.
All right. I think I'm gonna give it to Thomas and Diego on this one. I think I'm gonna hop on the bandwagon for now. I think I'm gonna ride the momentum.
The train is moving.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we've got some college football recruiting news for our next rapid fire. Local high school senior and star of the Hendrickson High football team, PJ Mbanassor, received an interesting gift in the mail from his future school. Mbanassor got this box of Wheaties. You can see right here. Bob Stoops and the guys over in Norman sent it to him. And even though it's from OU, still a pretty sweet gift, guys. The question here is, though, if you were a recruiting coordinator, what kind of cool incentives, would you spark up to send to players to get them to commit to your team?
I probably wouldn't tell you because it would probably be a Hummer or something.
Would it involve money or some sort of things that would?
Definitely. It'd probably be involved with Hummer.
I thought you were a more ethical man than that,
money.
Diego. Disappointed in you.
No, I couldn't say it if I was doing
Okay.
it, but this is a hypothetical if I just
Okay.
did.
So that's what you would do.
Probably some Beats by Dre headphones as well.
Okay.
Throw them in there.
Totally against the rules, but.
Yeah,
Anybody?
all this recruiting stuff is sort of shaky. I think the Wheaties box is a nice gesture. I mean, all the greatest athletes have been on Wheaties boxes, but this guy's an incoming freshman. That might be like a little before his time, that reference, honestly.
And if I was him, I would look at it like, so they're going to sign probably 25 guys this year. I mean, are they sending that to everyone?
That's a good point.
Am I getting Jeff Barker, OU's #1 recruit? I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. Thomas, what do you think?
I think it'd be cool to have some type of like customized SI cover or something, and just like put you as like the future of the sport or something. Some type of neat slogan. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, kind of the same as the Wheaties, and not really sold on any of these right now. But anybody got another one? Or?
I just want to know if he's going to actually eat these Wheaties. What's he going to do with these Wheaties?
No, he did. He actually sent out a tweet saying that he did slam the box of Wheaties.
That's crazy.
Oh,
know,
you
and-
shouldn't though. I mean,
Yeah,
that's like a
you should have
collectible.
it.
You should
Yeah,
just
I would
put
put
it
You
that
can
on
still
the
keep the
shelf.
box. You can still keep the
I'd
box.
put it on the shelf.
Guys, we're gonna take this to the next question. I don't think I'm gonna give points on that one. No,
Okay.
don't really care about any cool incentives. I'm not signing with any of your teams after those ideas. But, so guys, this one's gonna decide it. I'm gonna make this one worth 3 points. We gotta tie it to Jake. You've been doing well all day, so we're gonna make this one worth 3. In light of the news about David Ash considering a baseball career, for our last rapid fire, gonna discuss some other Longhorns that we might want to see on the diamond. So, which other lifetime Longhorn athlete would you most want to see out there for the Horns baseball squad? Somebody convinced me here.
I want to see Cameron Ridley because I.
What would he play? First base, catcher? The guy's got no range.
Oh no, this isn't for to benefit the team. This is just for entertainment.
to see him out
value.
there? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to see a big 6'11" basketball player running out there on the mound.
I think Vince Young has a lot of spare time these days. He is the Longhorn champion. When you think about Longhorn champions from this millennium, really, I mean, anyone would like to see him on any team, give them hope.
Okay, what would he play though? What would they put him out there as?
Just left bench.
Left. Dang, that's harsh, man. Thomas, you got one?
I mean, I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe like, I'm actually going to go with Swoops, actually, to see if he can, like, prove people wrong at another sport. I mean, he definitely hasn't shown us anything on the gridiron, so maybe go with him on the baseball diamond.
I think I'm going to go with Diego's on Cam Ridley right now. I think that's going to give Diego 2 points in the win in his first ever appearance, though.
Wow.
Sorry, Diego. You'll be back next week, though. We don't have time for your 30 seconds to face. Went kind of long with that.
How about them
rapid fire.
Cowboys? It's crazy.
Sorry about that. Diego will be back. Thomas, Jake, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of College Crossfire. As always, catch us right here every Wednesday night at the same time. Remember, you can also follow us on Twitter at CollegeXFire. For the biggest sports news on the 40 acres, you can tune into College Press Box Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. For everyone in Master Control, the studio, tonight's panel, and myself, good night. We'll see y'all next week. I was going more for like, I guess maybe I didn't set that.